A small, secluded island, a cloud of haze swirled around a splendid mansion. Behind one of the ornate windows stood a silhouette with a great craving for the extraordinary. The wealthy recluse, tired of living a life cocooned in opulence, yearned for a thrill that no amount of money could buy. Today was finally the day. To finally achieve that thrill. To finally fill the void within them. The plan, orchestrate a game so monumental that it would cost the lives of those who choose to participate. As an added twist, this silhouette would blend in perfectly with the rest of the contestants, like a needle in a haystack. 12 guests, about to dive into a hellfire, burned a fierce joy after receiving the golden envelope in their mail. Congratulations! You've been granted the rare opportunity to partake in the Avery Manor competition. Get a chance to win $1 billion. Little did they know, there would be no turning back as soon as they stepped foot into the competition. It was either you left with your life or you didn't. Worst yet, escape was proven to be impossible. Every part of the island was heavily monitored by two sinister keen eyes. Meanwhile, in a kitchen that was miles away. What? Sue cried, tears of joy, about to drop her cup of coffee. You and I got selected into the competition. You're kidding me. Sue and Bernice were talking to each other on the phone. They were the bestest of friends who've been dying to try something new together. They figured that an opportunity would present itself, and here it was. A miracle, they thought. However, what they viewed as a blessing was actually death in disguise. Bernice exulted, yes, I'm so excited, I'll split the money with you if I win. I promise you, I will too. Sue gave a heartfelt response. Bernice opened her drawers looking for the perfect dress to wear while resting the phone on her shoulder. I can't wait to leave first thing in the morning to take this awesome private jet to the island. I am so amazed how the host can just provide all of us a private jet, Sue beamed with awe. Unfortunately, Bernice and Sue were inches away from taking a dreadful misstep. The so-called host was actually a wealthy sadist who so desired to torture their victims, just to get a kick out of it. Next morning, filled right pointing pointer. My adrenaline kicked in, there were butterflies fluttering within my stomach as a surge of excitement rushed within me. I was in awe after having been granted the opportunity to win $1 billion. The best part, I could experience this once-in-a-lifetime adventure with my best friend, Sue. I wasn't quite sure what we were doing in this competition, but all I knew was that it revolved around solving crimes. As a journalist, I've written and witnessed a plethora of cases, so I am beyond confident that my background will give me the upper hand. I marked the start of my journey by getting dressed and embarking to Texas to board the private jet. The jet had such a sumptuous appearance that I felt like a celebrity. I slowly entered the aircraft, amazed by its lavish interior. Inside were two contestants, wearing formal clothing, sitting at a glistening golden table. One contestant had a black afro and the woman sitting across from him had long, red hair with glasses. Hi, I'm Bernice. I introduced myself. Hey Bernice, I'm RJ Coyne, pleased to make your acquaintance. I'm Lindsay, nice to meet you. They both gave me firm handshakes. Mind if I sit with you guys? I asked. Of course, take a seat, Lindsay replied, her voice welcoming. So Bernice, what do you do for work? I'm an engineer, Lindsay asked with a curious tilt. Very nice, I write stories and articles as a journalist. And you, RJ? RJ hesitated for a moment. Well, I sell frozen food for a living, he said with a sheepish grin. I nodded, still curious if there was more to what RJ was saying. Weird, I thought at the back of my head. My eyes then started to drift across the room and fortunately, I caught a glimpse of Sue. Behind her was a line of contestants, each giving off a different aura. I stood up, greeting her joyfully. Oh, do you two know each other? RJ's smile broadened. Yeah, we've been friends since high school. It was quite remarkable that we got to experience this competition together. I smiled, feeling a wave of nostalgia as I looked at Sue. Awesome, lucky for you guys. Here, come sit with us. Lindsay patted the empty chairs beside her. Soon enough, the jet soared to the sky as we continued to chat. 5 hours later, field right pointing pointer. The jet landed on a small, undisturbed island. I stepped out of the jet, taking in the beauty of this luxurious mansion. Wow, this is where I was competing. I thought, my heart raced with excitement. I was beyond exhilarated by what was in store for me. In line, I waited for the pilot to distribute our luggage. We were informed to put all our electronics in the box. I was quite skeptical of this odd rule, but then again, maybe all game shows did this. Maybe they wanted to minimize all distractions in the game. After I was handed my bag, I complied to the rule, taking out all my electronics and putting it in the box. I entered the mansion and immediately felt welcomed by the lively atmosphere. There were a group of contestants chatting in the main lobby, each giving off a pleasant vibe. I approached a group of women talking to a handsome man. Hey man, I'm Rod, nice to meet you. He gave a confident, inviting handshake. The women standing next to Rod greeted me as well. Hey guys, I'm Eddie. Can you believe this place? It's amazing. It's absolutely spectacular. I feel like a celebrity. I'm Miranda, by the way. Nice to meet you. Miranda wore a long, elegant dress along with the rest of the women. Alright, Athena took an empty champagne glass and repeatedly clinked on it with a small fork to get everyone's attention. The sound reverberated throughout the room. Since everyone is here, let's all introduce ourselves by going around the circle. I'll go first. I'm Athena and I am a news reporter. The name's Rod. I work as a lawyer. I'm Alana and I'm a makeup artist. I'm Heather and I actually used to be a cheerleader for the NFL. After the introductions circled around, the guests continued to chatter, waiting for the competition to commence. Rod and I had a pleasant, casual conversation. However, our chat was later disturbed by the sound of broken glass. Oh, I'm so sorry. Heather apologized, her face flushed with embarrassment. I dropped my champagne glass. But, maybe I don't need any more champagne. She laughed it off as the maids swept up the shards of glass. However, there was one shard of glass that shined ominously on the floor. Its dark luster was strangely hypnotic, almost serving as a distress signal. Please leave a like and comment if you enjoy this book. I am looking for constructive feedback, so please leave a comment regarding anything I can improve on. 1,000 likes and I will make a sequel. As I was heading to the kitchen to grab more champagne, I noticed a butler walking down the stairs. He lacked a facial expression and gave off an eerie vibe. Everyone else was so busy chatting with each other that their oblivion drove me to the brink of frustration. Hello, does no one see this? There's a creepy butler walking down the stairs. Hello, I snapped my fingers as loud as I could toward the guests. Still, no one paid attention. The man eventually made it down to the lobby, and he continued to stare at us as if he craved for our souls. Finally, Jacob noticed as well. Wow, he seems perfectly normal, he sarcastically remarked. I got goosebumps from the butler's creepy visage. Who the hell was he? Was he the host of the game? I was expecting a cheerful welcome along with an explanation of the game, but it soon took a whole different turn. Everyone eventually noticed the butler and gave him their full, undivided attention. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Avebury Manor. My name is Charles, he said with a fancy British accent. I will be your butler for the duration of your stay here. He bowed gracefully and the maids behind him rang a large bell sitting on top of a table. Ah, the estate bell. This bell will sound at past the hour at which we will reconvene, and you will with no doubt learn why you are all here." I sighed in relief, thankful that this butler at least provided some direction for us. Still, the gut feeling I had that something was amiss clung to me like a leech. All I knew was that I was here to participate in a game to solve a mystery with a prize of $1 billion. I don't care what this game is about or who the butler is. I'm just excited to see what happens. Filled right pointing pointer. I claimed to be a high school football coach to the others when in reality, I was an ex-cop. Conformity got the best of me to the point where a minor fib turned into a stack of lies. At some point, I was going to have to be honest, but for now, blending in was the most viable option. However, some people like Alana did not peg me for a coach. Just after a quick chat, she suspected that I worked as a detective. I figured that it was either her astounding intellect or the fact that she knew more than what she was revealing. Soon, the mysterious butler instructed us to head upstairs into our room. I followed her maid up the stairs and she directed me to my room. My bags were laid neatly on the floor and the room smelled fragrant. There was a sign on my door written in fancy handwriting that read, "Please enjoy your stay here and wait for further instructions regarding the competition." An hour later, the tranquility within the mansion was interrupted by a distinct, thunderous sound coming from downstairs, one that sounded like malfunctioning fuses and shattering glass. The ruckus caused the guests and I to dash outside our rooms. To our dismay, we walked in on a horrendous, bloody scene. An unconscious woman laying on the ground had large shards of glass penetrating her forehead. Blood gushed down her face, neck, and hands. The fish tank was completely broken and its remains rested on the woman's corpse as fiery sparks from several fuses convulsed throughout her body. That's when I soon realized. That woman was Heather. What the? Rod's voice echoed throughout the mansion. What happened to Heather? All the other guests screamed in fear. Guys, she's dead. Holy crap, Alana cried. Billions of questions haunted my mind. How did this happen? Did she accidentally slam her head onto the fish tank? Is this a part of the game? I stood there, aghast, paralyzed by my own thoughts. Filled right pointing pointer. Moments later, Charles joined the rest of the guests. He slowly approached Heather's corpse and whispered, "It has begun." What has begun? I fearfully asked. There was a body on the ground and it was the scariest, grossest thing I have ever seen. My dear guests, please, follow me to the parlor. This area is not secure. Please. Charles gestured everybody to head to the parlor while the electrocutions continued to occur. I will explain everything with great haste. After a suspenseful wait in the parlor, Charles entered to give further instructions. He seemed just as frightened as the rest of us. He spoke in a somber tone, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid the death of Heather was no accident. It was in fact, murder." Everyone gasped in terror. Worst yet, it appears that the killer is in this room right now. The room filled with a deafening silence. Everyone glanced at each other, paranoid of each other's presence. Amongst you who has tasked me to speak on his or her behalf? I couldn't wrap my mind around this game. Normally, in a game, your opponent sits right in front of you and you know who that person is. In this game, we don't even know who our opponent is. And our opponent's a killer. Charles grabbed an envelope out of his suit. This note was slipped under the door of my butler's quarters. He proceeded to read the note inside of the envelope. Dear mortals, you've all been chosen to play my wicked game of life and death. Your job, try to survive for as long as you can. If you prove to be a worthy adversary, you will unlock my identity. If not, then your life is on the line. I have confiscated your electronic devices so that you will have no way of signaling anyone. Oh, and good luck trying to escape this island. There are cameras everywhere. Your only option, rely on your intellect to stay alive. That's not what I was expecting. I was expecting some sort of puzzle or something fun like splashing by the pool and answering a few questions. Now all of a sudden, I realize that I'm fighting for my life along with the rest of the guests. Charles continued to read the note within the envelope. ... I had to make an example of Heather because she showed her incompetence by breaking a champagne glass. Her clumsiness cost her her life. I'm afraid she won't be here to cheer you on. As for the rest of you, the living, here are the rules. Following each murder, I will grant you the opportunity to investigate one, and only one, of the following areas. The crime scene. The victim's last known whereabouts, Heather's room, the morgue. Take a moment to decide which of the 3 areas you wish to investigate and give careful consideration of your choice. After he read the note, he put it back in his suit. Take a minute to decide. The killer, I'm afraid, is among us. He soon exited the parlor, leaving the guests to decide where to investigate. Where does everyone want to go? I asked the room. Athena began, well, only a few of us can go at a time. Each place is going to have a clue. It might behoove us to group up and... Sue interrupted, a hint of suspicion in her tone. Hold on a minute. You've been running things since we got here. I know, I noticed that too, Bernice chimed in, backing up Sue. Athena shrugged, fine, do you as you please. I think we should focus on the task at hand. He is going to be back any minute and ask us where we want to go, RJ suggested. Well, the task at hand is staying alive because somebody here is a murderer, Sue said. Right, we don't know anything, Alana replied. I want to know the last place she was, Athena said. I personally wanted to investigate the crime scene. Since this game heavily relied on cooperation, I immediately knew that I needed to form a partnership with 2 other people. We've talked. I know you. Do you have any opposition to going to the morgue? I asked Eddie. He nodded. Nah, it's good. I'm cool with the morgue. Do you mind going to the last known whereabouts? I asked Liam. He agreed. The essence of my strategy was to form 2 other partnerships since there were 3 areas. Eddie, Liam, and I could later reconvene to exchange information. It was essential to get the whole story in order to piece this murder together. Soon, Charles returned to the parlor. I trust that you have all made your decisions on which of the 3 areas you wish to investigate. We collectively nodded. Filled right pointing pointer. All of those who wish to scrutinize the scene of the crime, please raise your hand. Rod, Alfred, Lindsay, Miranda, and Alana raised their hand. They then followed one of the maids to the crime scene. Alana, knowing that Alfred was an ex-cop, decided to use his skills to her advantage. Wherever you saw Alfred, you also saw Alana. All of those who wish to go to the morgue, please raise your hand. Sue, Jacob, and Eddie raised their hands and were accompanied by another maid. Sue decided to put her healthcare knowledge to good use after choosing this location. The rest of you wish to go to the last known whereabouts, correct? Liam, Bernice, Athena, and RJ nodded and followed Charles over to Heather's room. Location crime scene. Rod, Alfred, Miranda, Alana, Lindsay. Upon arriving to the crime scene, I began to notice the obvious. Fish tank is destroyed, dead fish, glass everywhere, and a blood stain on the tile where Heather had been. This doesn't make any sense. She died just because she dropped her champagne glass. Alana was perplexed. And the fact that the killer said hello mortals. Like what the hell is up with that? Miranda shook her head. Rod wandered around the fish tank and shared his thoughts. From the volume of the sound, I thought she must have fallen first into the front glass. Yeah, and also it could be that every time she gets zapped, she could be jerking her head up, explaining these blood smears, Alfred added. Alana and I nodded, agreeing with their statements. Did you guys see any burn marks on her? Alfred probed. I was too afraid to get close and everything happened so quick. I replied. From what I had seen, the skin was burnt and charred, Alana pointed out. I was in utter confusion. Did the zaps kill Heather? I thought to myself. It didn't necessarily fit the puzzle. Alfred pointed to the blood stain on the tile. She goes slamming onto the fish tank and it shows her falling here and bleeding out from the back, explaining this small blood puddle. So there must have been a certain weapon that caused it. Way to go, ex-cop. Alana responded, offering him a fist bump, to which he reluctantly accepted. I'm not an ex-cop, Alfred murmured to Alana. Okay coach, whatever you say, my dad was a cop. Miranda laughed, her skepticism evident.